Hello, this is Monsignor Matthew Mitas from St. Angela Merici Parish in Florissant, Missouri, talking about the Ten Commandments. In a previous talk, I mentioned how there's a division among the Ten Commandments, the first three separated from the last seven. The distinction being that the first three deal with the virtue of religion, our obligations, duties, and responsibilities toward God. The last seven deal with our obligations, duties, and responsibilities to our fellow man. And the fourth one deals with our parents. Honor thy father and thy mother. As St. Paul points out, there's a promise attached to that all may go well with thee. You know, it always intrigues me that spiders come into this world just knowing how to build a web. If you look at a spider web, it's a fantastic phenomenon of engineering. Who taught them how to do it? Well, nobody did. They just come into this world knowing how to do it. Same thing for birds in building their nests, and beavers in building their dams, and there's many other animals the same way. They just have this wonderful ability and no one had to teach them. Sadly, that's not the way it is with human beings. The education that we have to go through is a very long and drawn-out process, and we need people in authority over us to teach us, to show us the way. And that's exactly what's behind this commandment, that God has established certain people to be in authority over others, literally to take his place. That's what the whole understanding of the Catholic sacrament of matrimony is, that husband and wife work together with God to bring children into this world, and he's a gift from himself to them, and they have an obligation to raise the kids the way the kids are supposed to be raised. And the kids on their part have an obligation to respect their parents, to honor their parents, and yes, to obey their parents. But it's a two-way street. The parents have got to be honorable people. They've got to take their duties and responsibilities as parents very carefully and very with a great understanding and purpose of what they're about to do. And so as long as the parents do that, the kids owe them obedience and respect. And it's a great sin to sin against your parents in the proper exercise of their responsibilities toward them. Now, if your parents were Bonnie and Clyde, for example, and they wanted you to be the wheelman for their next bank job, then you wouldn't have to obey them, because you don't have to obey parents if they're asking you to do something sinful. Very few parents are Bonnie and Clyde, but you know, I've heard many times over my years as a priest where a young woman or a young man would want to go to the seminary or the convent, and their parents would tell them no, to stand in the way of their vocation. Well, you know, it's a whole different thing. Sadly, these things do take place. But as a general principle, parents are presumed to be in authority over their children. They have a responsibility to do that well. That's a very important thing. And it's not just parents. Those of you who have a bent toward etymology, you look at the word patriotism or patriotic, and you see that the Latin word pater, which of course is the Latin word for father. Patriotism is the virtue by which we recognize that there even are people in government who have legitimate authority over us. Over the many years of the Christian era, we've had people, based on the writings of St. Paul, claim that the law doesn't apply to us, we don't have to obey human authority. They are anarchists. They believe that there really is no such thing as law. And this is taking things way out of control, because St. Paul does say that we have an obligation to respect authority, that Caesar or whoever is in charge does have legitimate authority. Even Jesus pointed that out. He asked for the coin. Whose image is on this coin? They said Caesar's. Well, he said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And there are things that do belong to Caesar. But again, Caesar, like mom and dad, has got to use that power responsibly. He can't abuse that power. He cannot be a tyrant. He cannot be a despot. He's got to be somebody legitimately exercising authority over the people, bringing order and peace to the kingdom, whether it's a king in charge or a president or Congress or whoever, even a policeman who pulls you over. You owe him respect and obedience because his authority is legitimate. And otherwise, it would be a violation of this fourth commandment to honor those whom God has given authority over us, to guard us, to keep us safe, and to give us peace. And I thank you for listening.